Hello, this is the game between Magnus Carlsen and Karjakin. I chose this position because we can learn something about knights and the bishops. For example, in this position, what do you think? Is it better to have bishops or the knights? So let's figure out. Let's first see what type is this position. Should we have more pawns on the board? Maybe we should exchange the pawns. So let's figure out what we need to do here. First, we can notice here that we have two knights against two bishops. So that means that naturally white wants to have some close position, and probably black should fight how to open position. For example, if we have something like this, maybe then we can say that white is worse here because black has two bishops, so bishop pair. So when you have bishop pair, probably you want to open position, but when you have knights, then it's far away better to have close position. And after g5, now it's a critical moment in the game, and we need to find some really good move here for white. Without that move, probably black will play in the future g4, and then the position will be kind of open. That is exactly what Karjakin thinks to play in the future. So we need to come up with some really good idea how to stop that and to close position. Because when we close position, practically white will be definitely better in that situation because we have knights. So let's see. What could be a move here for white? If you want to take a pause, try to think a little bit more, but now I will tell you. So the move is g4, and now probably the best what black can do is to take on h4, and after that we will capture his bishop, he will capture our pawn. For a moment we have one pawn less, but we can put something on f5. Of course black can do the same thing, but take a look this bishop on d6, so he will be constantly something what black can't use for anything, because maybe the best thing what could be is to trade somehow, to force white to trade, but of course we are not interested about that. For example, we can play king h2 here, king h7, we will put a rook, something like knight e3 with idea knight f5, of course, and once when we bring the knight we will of course capture also the pawn on h4, and here we are. Suddenly our pieces are much more active than the opponents, especially because of that bishop on d6. So we have one extra knight, and position is still closed, not completely, but still knights are better than the bishops. So we can use that for attack on the king side. Okay, that is something what could happen here, but after bishop g6, what happened in the game here, and of course now we will back our bishop. This is strategically already winning position for white. So Magnus of course knew that, and after that he didn't give any chance to his opponent to back his position in life. So constantly white was better, and of course Magnus won this game. Okay, let's see how this game goes. So knight d7, of course, with knight d7, black found where is, or of course he understands where should be weakness in white position. If we notice here where we will go with our knight, and that is f5 square, it's totally the same for black. He will use f4 square, so it's easy to recognize where we can use our knights, where to put them, because both sides have practically the same weaknesses in his positions, in this position. Okay, so h4. Why now h4 for white? Magnus understood here that he will attack on the king side. How we know that? First, we have one knight extra, so that can give us a chance to bring more pieces in attack, because this bishop will be for the rest of the game problem for black. And with that, of course, we can use with more space. We will put something after he trade, probably black will trade in some moment. We will put one of our pawns, but the other knight can also easily be in situation that he can attack the king. So we know already that, and we can predict that for the future what could happen here. So that is why h4 already. We want to open h file and then to attack on the king side. And now Karyakin played here f6. Instead of that, maybe he should try with g takes on h4, but still this doesn't change anything in the position because we can capture, and then of course we will use f5 square for our knight. We have two knights who can go there, so in some moment we will stay with that knight on f5, and still we can use that knight and other pieces for attack on the king side. So Karyakin played here f6. Okay, we don't need to rush now. We can prepare position. This is strategic position. Center is completely closed, so that means that we have time. So we can do maneuver with our pieces. For example, now first white played knight e3. He wants to improve position of that knight. Of course, he's not interested to trade for the bishop, and on that way he will also improve pawn structure for black. So of course, knight e3 with idea knight f5 in the future. Bishop f8, king g2. King g2, of course, we are interested to play on the king side, so king g2 is so important move. We want to, and useful move, of course. We want to play rook h1 and then to play through the h file. Okay, black is doing the same thing, so he wants to play knight c5, and after that knight e6 and knight f4. So h takes, and then knight f5. Everything is logic here. We don't need to analyze this. So knight e6, black is doing the same thing, rook h1, of course, queen d7, okay, and black is trying maybe to involve more pieces in the game. Also, he is protecting 7th rank with the queen, but of course we have naturally more space, and that means that we will decide who will attack. Rook h3, a bishop takes. Okay, now black decided to capture. I mean, sooner or later he must take, and okay, he decided to capture, and then knight f4. We will do the same thing. We can't let the knight to stay there because we need to use last rank or first rank for us, so we need to get rid from that knight. He's so powerful on f4. And now again take a pause, try to find how we should continue this game, because this is again some critical moment like when we played g4. If we continue to play aggressive here, now it's totally different position from before. Why? Because the center is open. So black can use his heavy pieces to attack our king and to open even more the center. So we need to be careful here, and first to consolidate our position in the center. So knight d2, so important move for us. Idea is simple. We want to put the knight on e4. We will close position on that way, and then of course this knight also could be useful for attack on the king side. So knight from a to d8. For a moment black is stopping us to go with our knight on e4, but again we don't need to play knight e4 right away. First we can play queen f3, and then again we can play knight e4. We are not interested to trade the queens, so after, for example, after queen d5 we will play knight e4. So bishop g7, knight e4, king f7. Black wants to exchange the heavy pieces here on h file. Rook f7, and now clever move from Magnus. Rook h7, he wants to bring the queen, and the queen will finish on g6. When we give that check, black won't be able anymore to trade, or I don't know, but he will lose something here. Definitely he will lose something. So rook h7, queen h3, we exchange, and now queen g6. And after queen g6, now it's really easy to win this game, but again both players are really good, so we need to be careful. So king f8, we capture the pawn on f6, and then queen f7. So again, if we are interested to trade, we can trade, and we can play one endgame with one pawn more, so it should be winning. And after knight h7, black is forced to give some material here, because if he moves the king, for example, here we can just trade the queens, and then knight g5. This is totally winning position. We have two passed pawns. In endgame, definitely winning position. Or maybe here, but then even worse situation, because we can give check, and now who will protect the queen? So black is in really deep trouble now. Okay, so that is why after knight h7, black just simply exchanged that, but now he's in really bad position because he's down for material, and still black king is more in more dangerous position than white king. Okay, so black tried here to be active, and he played queen d5, and after that f3, and after queen e5. Now please take a pause the video and try to find some good idea here how we should first consolidate position on our side, because now black is more active than we. Our king is totally open for checks, so we need somehow to protect our king, and then we can think again how to cause some damage in black position. But first we need to consolidate our position. So Magnus found here really good idea. He played first king f1. I will explain you. So he prevent queen e2. That is first thing. Okay, he can't prevent queen e3, so it's useless to put a king here because that will be check, so tempo move for black. So that is why king f1. Also, he's opening some space for the queen. Maybe the queen will end on h1, maybe on h3, maybe on h2, but the queen can go, and she can also help in defending white king. But probably we won't move our queen from the h file, because in some moment she will also be useful piece in attack on the king. So we are preparing basically after king f1, rook e1, and the rook will be some piece who will protect the king. But depends of black. So queen e3, now we are forced first to defend the pawn, so we need to back our queen. So queen h3 first, and now the queen is completely out of space. Maybe she can go here, but we can leave black to capture a couple of pawns on the queen side, as long as we can activate our rook on e file, and then we can connect him and the queen in attack, so that will be deadly attack. So first we consolidate position on our side, and then we can again think how to damage black position or how to attack. So bishop b2, he took our pawn, but this is not important because we can attack the queen with tempo. And after queen d2, now black pieces are on opposite side where they should be, but it doesn't matter if they're also on the right side. They can't do anything because we are stronger, we have more material, so we just need to be active now because our king is safe, there is no checks. So queen h6 check, tempo move for us, and after bishop g7, one more move, and that is queen g6. We are threatening checkmate, practically unstoppable checkmate. So black decided to sacrifice here, but Magnus didn't want to give some opportunity for some checks. It doesn't matter, still black can't use perpetual checks, but he wanted to play some creative here, and he played f6. After f6, black resigned. We are threatening checkmate, queen g7, queen e7 checkmate, or he will capture, but then again we can give checkmate. So practically there is no good move here for black, and still he can't give us check, so Karyakin decided to resign here. Okay, so what we can learn from this lesson? First thing, when you have knights versus bishops, so you should probably try to close position, to not allow him to open his bishops and then to have some open position. So what we are consider like open position when we exchange the pawns. So don't exchange the pawns, try to avoid that. Of course, every rule in chess, it's not working all the time, or you can't just stick to the rules. So you need to improvise in your game, what you see, what you understand, what position wanted from you in that moment. But try to understand that when you have knights, it's better for you to stay alive with your pawns, so don't exchange them. Of course, in some moment Magnus exchanged the pawns on h-file, but why? He understood that will be better for him because he wants to use h-file for attack. And of course with connection with his knights or with his heavy pieces, because he will be in situation to attack. He has more space on the king side, because in some moment when we trade that, the bishop will be totally unuseful piece for black, and we have one extra knight. We will stay with that extra knight, and that is why I told you that from beginning after g4 already Magnus, I think, knew that he will win the game, because he will stay with knight against the bishop. So practically in that type of position, he doesn't need to create some creative things, or he just needs to be logical, and he can win the game. So with some normal game he can win the game. So that is why I think he already knew after g4 that he will win the game. Okay, thank you if you enjoyed this. Please subscribe, that means a lot to me, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.